Personally, I like to use the word recovering, which means that recovering is a lifelong gift for moving forward. It can be that our recovery is always ongoing, but it's also important to remember that recovering from addiction does not mean that daily normal family problems disappear, but with recovery, we will have better tools to work with. Recovering can also help us in other areas of our lives. Let me give you an example. I live in a small town, and you know, when you live in a small town, when you want to do something, if there's a person in front of us, we call that a line. Well, in the town that I live in, we have one post office, and one day I went into the post office, had to mail what I had, and there were 4 people in front of me, which obviously made me discouraged. I stood there, but what caught my attention immediately, there was a lady coming through the door holding a lot of small packages, barely able to balance them, and she wound up standing next to me. Being a behavioral scientist, I started to watch to see if anyone would help her, and I started to think, you'd think someone would help her, but people don't really care. Well, there was a voice inside of me that said, well, you say you're that kind of person. You say you're the kind of person that will help. Well, then help her. And I said, well, I'll lose my place in line. I'll have to stay here longer. But finally, I turned to her and I asked, would you like some help? Very relieved, she said, oh, yes. So I spent an extra 5 minutes of my life that day in that post office. But as I thought about it later, I came to this conclusion. Sometimes to do the right thing, you need to get out of line. Just because there's a line doesn't always make it right. And I think that applies to our recovery too. We need to do the healthy things. And I think the most important thing to maintain our health and to continue our health is I want to remind you of the importance of staying connected with Al-Anon, Alateen, AA, NA, and of course, Renascent. There's a magnificent, magnificent recovering community out there, and I invite you to become part of it and to live better with that community.
I know how I've changed through the Renaissance program and Al-Anon, and I've changed to respect and love who I am, and in many areas, from who I am, what my responsibilities are. I know my boundaries. I know exactly what it is that I need. As far as my family member, my spouse, he too has gone through the Renaissance program. And through the Renaissance program, he has learned to respect who he is as well, and has given himself the love and care that he needs to continue with his recovery. As a family with children, we've all learned through our own traditions that we've placed together and value systems in the house, all learn to act and behave as family members and respect one another. I can talk about that a little bit because I actually enjoy it. So now we got all the kids involved in the father and myself, and we all now talk about what our values are, and those values are love and kindness and respect and consideration, which is a big one for the kids because they like to be considered as adults, and what we tell them all the time, that they're children still, right? But they want to be considered and respected. So those are 2 big ones for the children. And we play that role really well now. If something goes wrong, we can sit down and discuss it during dinner or during a family meeting. It's wonderful. But at the same time, we can all respect our individualities, which is great. And at the end of the day, whatever happens, we all know who to go to, and we all know exactly who we are and how we can be loved by ourselves and other forms of members in our family now, whether they're the Renaissance family counselor who's helped us a lot, or Al-Anon members that I've become very close friends with, which has been amazing and helped as well from that area. But the family unit, meaning my family unit, has really now started becoming a family unit. We can talk about anything, and it doesn't matter what the discussion is. Everybody can now talk, as opposed to argue and fight and threat and control and manipulate. It's this complete understanding that it's okay that you feel this way, but this is how I feel. And if there is any issues, the issues are on the table. There's no more lingering about it. There's no more denial about situations. We all know what's happening in the house. We all know what's wrong and who has what and who doesn't, and it's okay. We can come and go during the day, and at the end of the day, we all know we're together. And that's a great feeling to have.